So is everybody comfy? I'll have a jug of water at the back and some cups. It is BYOB at Bird and Beckett. There's a show tonight at 7:30, $20 cover. It'll be very nice. Feel free to stick around and come back for that. Okay, that's the camera's recording. There's Kim. Hey, Kim. All right. Maybe we ought to have a stool up on the stage in case somebody needs to sit down. I think I might have.
There is one.
Is there one behind? I'll bring it forward, or maybe one of you could when you're there. Don't fall off the stage going up and down. There's a bookshelf to hang on to, but don't grab it too hard because those nice little extensions were made by Kim's partner Doug, so that we could fit more books on the shelves here. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, I think we're pretty good. Oh, and there's another stool there. Why don't we bring one off because somebody might want to sit on it out here. Grab that lighter one. Throw it at somebody in the book. I'd love to boss Kim around. So much fun.
You'll find it
because she's so easy to.
Because
you're probably the only one.
You know, there are limits, but
yeah. So we're doing pretty well. I think we got Rich somewhere. There he is. Okay, there's some seats in the front row. There's a couple stools left. Maybe there's 2 seats there with people's bags on them. They could instead be people instead of bags.
there are 2 seats in the front. Charlie Getter. Okay, settle in. So how does this work with my height? All right. I happen to know there aren't that many, but there are a few people of my verticality here as well. Fabu. What's that? What did you say?
Verticality is grand.
Huh?
So as far as I'm concerned, this reading can begin. Thank you all for coming.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Now I'll be back in another call in 45 minutes.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Bird and Beckett, for hosting the book release party in San Francisco for Beat Not Beat. I was part of the editorial group, but the main credit for this book goes to Rich Ferguson. And I'm going to keep the intros, as I said to the poets earlier, very minimal so that we can get more poetry and less babble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out, if I were feeling Paul Corman Roberts, you want to start us off? There's still a couple seats up here, y'all.
She said no babble, but I'm going to shoot up my rig first before going on. Sorry. Terrible. This is the explanation of pretty much everything. And still I can't help but think you contain not multitudes, nor even all worlds, but all galaxies, all universes, and all of the ultra-universes. You manifest the spiral, not a cycle, but a vector, an echo in every medium we have ever encountered. This is not motion so much as it is frequency, bits and pieces of you cramming yourself out of and into the perceptible there and there, between the Scylla of your wavelengths and the Charybdis of your antimatters. This is where all the philosophers and shamans and alchemists and visionaries and poets rend their hearts, dash their minds against the impossibly dense contradiction of existence. It can't be easy, cycling in and out of all the dimensions relative to your journey. But I want to be among the first from my dank cubbyhole to thank you for all of your hard work that you are forever birthing. These armadas of Prince Caspians forever sailing towards the gravitational barriers, where oceans of poppies and posies inevitably smother our brave, lonely vessels in pollen and nectar, never to return. Around and around we still go, little foundations of you with whom I surely have shared with Christ, with Buddha, with Krishna, with Hypatia, and the first deposed thumb primate to discover the practical value of murder. It is you whom all of us share. And so once more unto your long night's journey into day, preoccupied as you remain eddying in the fringe cul-de-sacs on the edge of town, on the perimeter of a campfire where cold and dark things reflect just enough incandescent light to keep you hypnotized, horrified, and everything between, just long enough to keep the rest of us hanging around, which goes a long way towards understanding the explanation of pretty much everything. I'm going to sneak one more in. Sneak one more in.
Are you?
I am.
Are you?
Oh, is there?
Do not set bad examples.
I have been shamed.
Not really. I love him madly. I wouldn't do that to somebody else because we're not as close. Mark, please.
Oh my God.
That opens up the door.
All right, let's see if I can get my bulk up there. Excuse me, dear boy. All right. Yeah, Mark. So as not to set a bad example, I'll tell you in advance that my wife couldn't be here, and I'll read her second, but there'll only be 2 poems. And I have the approval.
You did get approval.
Get to it, is what she's saying. This is me. Vaccine. Inoculate hunger. Inject education. Unplug virus X tweeting. Mask socialism, calling it free health care. Drain oil abscess from gasoline planet's arm. Social distance the cops, clubs and guns sheathed in weeping empathy. Police dog's head of anger, now stretched out on massive paws. I try to end leaving them laughing, so I picked my wife's funny poem here. Kamala Harris in degrees of Kevin Bacon. Yeah, we're off to a good start. Kamala Harris just got elected Vice President of the United States. I've been waiting for a woman to get to the White House since I campaigned for Shirley Chisholm and scandalized El Rodeo Elementary School's 3rd grade. I got to talk to her on the phone once when she was District Attorney of San Francisco. I'm not going to prosecute you, she said. Thank you, I said. I quit using drugs after that, went to rehab, 6 months later, and again 5 months after that, after 2 trips to the ICU, went to rehab twice, stayed in San Diego rehab for 9 months, saved my life. That conversation with Kamala Harris was way cooler than the time my brother skied over Gerald Ford's ski boots when he was about 12 and got surrounded by the Secret Service. Because a Harris phone call is worth at least 5 Fords. Thank you.
I'll tell you like your
Richard Loringer.
Hey, can I move this slightly? Because if I fall over, then you can still hear me. Okay, hi everyone. It's good to see you and great to be here. And my poem in the book is called 3 Minutes. I stand on a broad flat rock. 3 minutes of my life. Of what? 3 minutes. A few dozen breaths, if you're counting, several dozen heartbeats, a few billion nerves firing. A small brown feather fluttering across a field. Slow drip of an old sink. My life, my what? 3 minutes waiting in a room. 3 minutes watching the tide come in on a stony beach, listening to each wave crash like a heartbeat, like a long, slow breath. 3 minutes of an engine running. 3 minutes of an exquisite cantata. I stand on a broad, flat rock. An outcropping, really, 3 minutes. 3 minutes of nothing. Time, an invention of the mind if you're counting, and probably not what it seems at all. 3 minutes thinking about that. 3 minutes of bone pain, of absolute grief that lasts a year. 3 minutes of orgasm, pleasure pulsing right out of your body and slowly sinking back in. 3 minutes in the presence of a loved one. 3 minutes waiting in a room. I stand on a broad, flat rock, an outcropping high above a valley, late at night, well past midnight. Full moon at my back, and glimmers of aurora borealis flickering across the north sky, flickering just these moments, a few dozen breaths. Moon behind, in faint mist, hemmed by a ring of rainbow. This really happened. Milky Way hanging brilliantly in the west against darkest space. Silent. And the stars shift imperceptibly. I mean the earth, if you're counting. And the faintest hint of dawn comes in from the east and dims the spectacle. And that's it. It's over. That's designed to take exactly 3 minutes, but I was 2 seconds short. So apologies.
You got a quick haiku.
So there's that. Rich Ferguson.
Hey everyone, thanks for being here. This is amazing. I had to take notes because I don't want to screw this up. I have so many people to thank: Kim Shuck, Alexis Roan Fancher, S.A. Griffin, who were my editors in arms, poetic arms. When I got the idea to put this together, also thank you to Kathleen Florence, who gave me the inspiration and the continual motivation to keep this going. When the idea came up, I realized I couldn't do it alone, so I surrounded myself with smart poets who could have a reach beyond what I could do. So Kim was extremely helpful, covering, helping out with the Bay Area. Alexis and S.A., helped out in L.A., and S.A. took us into the stratosphere with some of the folks we have in the book. We've got, if I just quickly flip through the table of contents, Diane DePrima, Ferlinghetti, someone named Kim Shuck, so many of the beautiful people in this room, Kenneth Patchen, Jim Morrison, Wanda Coleman, she was, and one of my poetry heroes, and I have to send a big thanks to Tate Swindell. He helped me secure the rights to Bob Kaufman. And when I first had the idea, there were like two poets that I wanted to have in this book, Wanda Coleman and Bob Kaufman. So Tate, thank you for helping me to get Bob. Richard Modiano, who's going to read. Thank you, Richard, for being so helpful early on in the creation of this book. It was, thank you, thank you, thank you. Burden Beckett, Eric, thank you. You're amazing. The anthology has been a pure labor of love from beginning to now and continuing. It's amazing. It's not a history of beats, so if you're looking like another sort of beat history, this isn't that. But it is beat-centered in the fact that it's, it's about community. It's, and beat born, but consciously and subconsciously, and whatever threads of beat going throughout it. It's music, rhythm, sex, social consciousness, all the things that keep us wide awake, alive, and writing. San Francisco is a special city for me. I was here years ago, and it's great to see friends like Jen Joseph, Andre Rosen, Jim and Dot. I don't know if they're here, but just old friends. It means a lot you're here. I'm going to stop talking, but thank you all for being here. And to all the poets that I know and don't know, thank you. Thank you for being in the book. It's available here at Bird and Beckett and at moontidepress.com. When asked about the scars around your lips, tell them you were speaking peace in a shattered glass world. When asked about employment, say you were a wound collector on the broken frontier. As for where you reside, tell them your heart is equidistant between joy and suffering. The now and never, the sweet flower in the Hiroshima cloud. Regarding why you say the things you say, tell them the full moon is in your mouth. When asked about the ghosts behind your eyes, tell them you sometimes spend too much time thinking about who you are to become rather than whom you are supposed to be. When asked why some leave this world too soon, tell them death's reflexes are sometimes quicker than prayer. Thank you, everyone.
The full moon is in my mouth, Rich. This is called Moonskin. They say her skin is so thin, his footprint stays for decades. Memory marks far more vandalizing than a lover's little lifetime. They say her skin is so thin, she feels everything, so she summons sea storms. She conjures outbursts. Her own feet graffiti kicks up lover dust, cauldrons of human tides conjured by her inner terrain. They say her skin is so thin, she sirens our monsters we bury. We face ourselves, our maelstroms, when she is full, when she is her most sensitive. Thank you.
Going to tell you now, we'll also be reading Diane DePrima's.
Fully authorized here. Okay, got to have some energy to channel Diane DePrima here. Whew. He breathes. So I am printing out poems to send to 26 magazines who want them, or say they do. I figure I'd better get on it while I have the time. My book is done, at Viking, even now getting messed with in unthinkable ways. And I have the time and I better use it. Yesterday I went to visit a friend who's dying, and that always reminds me, get the poems out while you can, and everything else for that matter. Not to mention I had a dream last night that wasn't so good. So I'm printing out poems and the phone rings and it's someone from the Examiner. And only this morning I read the Examiner will soon be extinct, so I wonder how the guy feels about that, and I pick up the receiver. He says he heard Gregory Corso died last night and he wants a quote. They always want a quote, and I usually ignore them. But this time I say he had the greatest lyric gift of any of them, Alan, Jack, the greatest innate genius. Yeah, the guy says, but genius and discipline don't often go together. I have discipline, the guy says, but no genius. I have just finished printing a poem for Sharon Dubiago and want to get on with it before we all drop dead, so I tell him to call Alan's office. Alan will still have an office after we're all gone, and that office will have quotes for everything. I am so grateful. And he wants to know about Gregory's time in San Francisco, and I tell him to call City Lights, and then I hang up. By this time, my printer is spitting out old haikus. I only have 68 poems, and 25 magazines want them or say they do, and I want to send at least 3 poems to each, so they'll have a choice. And I'm trying to figure this out, to do the math when the guy calls back. He says he got through to Allen Ginsberg's office, and the woman who answered said only, "He breathes." That's good, I said, and thought about Ray Bremser and Jack Michelin not breathing, and my friend in Mill Valley, and all the rest. Me too, soon. She breathes no longer, they'll say, and somebody will mention my lyric gift but no discipline, and what a bitch I was. So I get my sweater to go to the Asian American restaurant. It's Chinese Peruvian, actually. But suddenly I decide I don't want to leave the house. So I cook some pasta and think about Gregory breathing in the Midwest somewhere. And while I keep writing, the pasta is getting cold, and I can't help it, but I wish I could send him some ziti with summer sauce. And Sarah Raffetto to my friend breathing not so good. Alan, too, and he wasn't even Italian. And then I get to channel her again with this poem, Poetic Guidance from Diane de Prima, a found poem. The little footnote, gathered and arranged from notes jotted during Diane de Prima's last poetics class series, summer 2015. In the morning when you're not quite you, ride that to other times and places. Overhear things. Trust a tiny piece of memory and keep going. Be completely on your own side. Write at the same time each day, and your body will depend on it. Nothing is as important as writing in the time you set aside for writing. Kickstart, make a collage, sharpen pencils, light a candle. What you do with your actual cells is more important than image. Image is more important than words. Organizing is as important as anything. Take a walk, look for clues, all senses. What happened on that very street in that very spot? Pick a color, see it everywhere you go. Window shop for a character you might want to wear. Ask about or to for any poem. Think of those you're writing for, not those who will be upset by what you write. Write the history only you know. Read, read, read. Read obituaries. Keep a notebook of title pages with no content. Let it come. Or pull down a book and grab a passage to start. See stuff between the lines on the page. Include present moment interruptions in your piece and look for coincidence. Hold the paradox. Study alchemy, biology, the society you're in. Don't understand it, don't believe it, but know it's true. Take the scary fork in the road. What is your poem's darkest secret, its biggest fear? Ask the I Ching, the tarot. Write what you must never write. Bored, hungry, can't sit there one more minute? You're probably on to something. Hold still through all your bad writing, through all your frightened, jealous critics. If there's something you're doing well, they'll pay you anything to stop doing it. Believe the news they never teach you. Things you hate are waiting to delight you if you take your time to learn them. When stuck, cut in dreams, cut in comic books. Write for all beings. Write your own death poems. For heaven's sake, don't believe your opinions. Accept the limits of your body. The requirements of our life is the shape of our art. Thanks.
Julie Rogers.
Hi, I feel very honored to be amongst you.
and to be in this book, which I didn't expect at all. And I really want to thank the editors, and especially SA, who made this happen. I didn't even know about the book. Now I know more. So I'm just going to read my poem in here and also David Meltzer's. So this is called Tendencies. It's for Theo and Susie Saunders. Life drives me crazy. I swear this is not my car. I don't remember buying it. I can't afford to rent it. I don't recall parking here. There's never enough insurance. I wouldn't shop here if someone had warned me. Who knew? Right here, this gets real existential, like, I don't understand this stricken world, so sad and beautiful. All I know is somehow I stopped here and choose to stay, to continue the tradition. I tell myself, remember to stand up. Then I look to see if I'm here with the key. Then it all comes back. Turns out I do drive. I even have a license. I drive good. Thank you. I sent that to Essay in the middle of the night, and he goes, I want to put your poem. And I said, what poem? I don't remember. And then this is in honor of David Meltzer, my sweetie. The 6th anniversary is this New Year's Eve of his passing. And this poem is the last poem that he ever wrote me. And he wrote it on New Year's Eve in 2015, and he died New Year's Eve 2016. And I've never read it out loud. So thank you for listening. It's called Re, like R-E, colon, Re 2016. Rejoice that we are here, that we love each other, that we treasure and value each other. Relax in the flux of moments flowing with grace. Reveal our core heart, our moment, our possibilities. Revel in the wonders surrounding us. Realize everything and nothing as one. Recognize every second of our impermanence. Retreat into no self-aware. Resist resistance, accept acceptance. Renew our love, our life. Recognize our precious gift in every moment. Reflection on water, never the same. Thank you.
Hi. Smart shoes, Charlie. They're new and clean. For now. The last true Yugoslav. Silence suits us in these times because no one believes what we believe anymore. One time we held the banner for a great idea, but it doesn't exist anymore. Maybe it never did. Or maybe the tripe that we're fed of ideas being more powerful than anything was itself just a bad idea. I don't miss my Christianity. But no matter what you could say about it, at least it paid lip service to there being divinity in everybody. And though no one acted accordingly, it was an inescapable notion. No longer. Now it's just tribes, shaken into a zero sum. I won, you lose, and consequently, we all lose. But I stand proud, grinning in my delusion as the last true Yugoslav. Thinking prejudice is bad, no matter where it comes from. And it's only bad people who judge other people by their genetic affiliations. As the world keeps finding new ways to burn inside hearts, inside minds, because when prejudice is cloaked as justice, there can be no peace. And if this is how it's going to be, there will never be peace, if there ever was, except here, under my coat, under my skin, which I hope is thick enough to protect Yugoslavia. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Rich Ferguson, and everybody for turning out today. This poem is called A New World in Our Hearts, and it's a reference to a statement made by the militant union leader Buenaventura Durruti, who was the head of the CNT militia during the Spanish Civil War. He was interviewed by the Toronto Star Bulletin, and he made this statement saying that the bourgeoisie may bomb and blast its way off the stage of history, but we don't care. We, the workers, built that world, and we have a better one, a new one growing in our heart. It's beating there this very minute. A new world in our hearts. You can taste it in the shock and roar of a first unexpected kiss, or in the blood in your mouth that instant after an accident when you realize you're still alive. It blows in the wind you feel on the rooftops of a really reckless night of adventure. You hear it in the magic of your favorite songs, how they lift and transport you in ways that no science or psychology could ever account for. It might be you've seen evidence of it scratched into bathroom walls in a code without a key, or you've been able to make out a pale reflection of it in the movies they make to keep us entertained. It's in the words when we speak of our desires and aspirations, still lurking somewhere beneath the limitations of being practical and realistic. When poets and radicals stay up until sunrise, racking their brains for the perfect sequence of words or deeds to fill hearts or cities with fire, they're trying to find a hidden entrance to it. When children escape out the window and go wandering late at night, or freedom fighters search for a weakness in government fortifications, they're trying to sneak into it. They know better than us where the doors are hidden. When teenagers vandalize a billboard or provoke all-night chases with the police, or anarchists interrupt an orderly demonstration to smash the windows of a corporate chain store, they're trying to storm its gates. When you're making love and you discover a new sensation or region of your lover's body, and the two of you feel like explorers discovering a new part of the world, on a par with a desert oasis or the coast of an unknown continent, as if you are the first ones to reach the North Pole or the moon, you are charting its frontiers. It's not a safer place than this one. On the contrary, it is the sensation of danger there that brings us back to life. The feeling that for one moment that seems to eclipse the past and future, there is something real at stake. Maybe you stumbled into it by accident, once amazed at what you found, the old world splintered behind and inside you, and no physician or metaphysician could put it back together again. Everything before became trivial, irrelevant, ridiculous as the horizons suddenly telescoped out around you, and undreamt of new paths offered themselves. And perhaps you swore that you would never return, that you would live out the rest of your life electrified by that urgency, in the thrill of discovery and transformation. But return you did. Common sense dictates that this world can only be experienced temporarily, that it is just the shock of transition and no more. But the myths we share around our fires tell a different story. We hear of women and men who stayed there for weeks, years, who never returned, who lived and died there as heroes. We know, because we feel it in that atavistic chamber of our hearts that holds the memory of freedom from a time before time, that this secret world is near, waiting for us. You can see it in the flash in our eyes, in the abandon of our dances and love affairs, in the protest or party that gets out of hand. You're not the only one trying to find it. We're out here too. Some of us are even waiting for you here. And you should know that anything you've ever done or considered doing to get there is not crazy, but beautiful, noble, necessary. Revolution is simply the idea we could enter that secret world and never return, or better, that we could burn away this one to reveal the one beneath. Thank you.
Hi. Palm. It's very, very frightening in a world gone mad, in a mad, mad world where youngsters have lost the cinema and a silver screen for a digital screen will scream and scream as the world will end in a digital apocalypse, in an ending that fits like a glove in hand, and top hat and tails have made way for latex micro minis cinched at the waist, and contoured noses and Kardashian asses plumped with implants and fat transfers from the belly to the butt in the belly of the beast, and his number is 666. 6 and sticks may break my bones, and it's an online bully world where my trauma is your trauma, and I'm a precious snowflake, or I will kill myself and it'll be your fault, and I can pretend to be dead and organize a GoFundMe page for the funeral expenses and run away with the funds to Sao Paulo or somewhere exotic where the living is cheap and a human life is worth about $50 US, and you can buy a meal for $1. Sex is cheap and plentiful, and you can get fucked nightly by fit young things who lay their beautiful bodies down in tin roof shanties and hang their disco pants on a bamboo rod of their mother's huts when she goes off to the sweatshop to sew for designer labels and makes the $800 blouses till she's blousy and past it at 45. Spin me right round, baby. Right round, and fill my western face with Juvederm and other fillers. Make me look 40 till I'm 60, because I move in the circles where 80 is the new 60 and his number is 666. The beast has a belly and she swims the 7 seas, the Leviathan, and she's mighty, crying. Then the salt water spurting out her blowhole is polluted with plastics and loaded with Ambien and hormones, plastic bags and detritus from the floating trash islands of the Pacific, terrific, Atlantic, till it rises to the shore and totally swamps Pacific Island nations overnight, drowning the palaces, palm trees and shanties overnight, till in the morning there's nothing left, mourning for a world that's only ever been there for 5 minutes in Milky Way time. Time has a way of fugit, and blink your eyes and it's gone. A lifetime channel behind your lashes, a moisturized minute in the grand scheme of things, and the real housewives of planet Earth get their beauty products from palm oil from those Pacific Island nations drowned by the rising waters in the swamp time of their lives, slipping like sand through an hourglass. Hourglass lakes, Great Lakes, Canada geese flying south for the winter and skating over the frozen lakes into Canada and back across the borders in green card freedom of Christian right and the home of the free, till the stars and stripes see stars and stripe your bottom with a lash of self-loathing and a handful of pills in the OxyContin nations of the Ambien world.
Jessica. Am I seeing Jessica? I don't see Jessica. I haven't seen Jessica. Okay. She's not here. All right. So, that means 2 great things. One of the great things it means is that our next poet is Cassandra Dallett.
Yeah.
After that, there's another great thing. But first, this one.
I cannot overstate how honored I am to be a part of this anthology and this reading. You guys got me out of my cave, and it is fucking fantastic. Such good readings. Jails have ATM machines now. Plastic cards by commissary and child support. For an extra $3, you can add a personal message. Don't worry about us. We'll be fine. Or we love and miss you. Happy birthday. After we slide our credit cards, the woman behind us struggles to shove in her few wrinkly dollar bills. On my block, the kids stay out all night, lining the stairs with hundreds of flaming prayer candles, spray the walls for Pootie from 2-6, implore him in death to shine on. Each night they bring the biggest red heart balloons, the kind sold for Valentine's and high school graduations. They fill the street with beating heart cars, double parked and spilling liquor in his memory. When the phone rings, you press 5 as fast as you can so as not to lose a precious moment of his voice. You accept that he can only speak to you on a police recording. There are options, more money for more minutes. You can buy them so he can't call anyone but you. You pay for time with no idea what words will fill it. How many ways can you say love or absent? You describe reaching for his side of the bed, using his chapstick because it's the last thing to touch the softness of his lips, lips you fell on and into in a bar, lips you woke to like a life raft at sea, behind security glass, cracked and dry. They are an unkissed desert. You roll his chapstick on the thirst of your lips until you reach the empty plastic. You run your hands between your thighs where he buried his face at night, feel nothing but exhaustion. Down the street, the kids are rapping, dressed up, passing blunts, blowing smoke at the unfair sky. You place candles in your windows, burn sage. You mourn with them. You have suffered a kind of death also. In the morning, you pour 2 cups of coffee, empty his into the garden out back. The dogs are bored with your sadness, refuse belly rubs even when offered. You look the dog in her eye, share the disappointment of your own hand because, indeed, it is not his. You internet search the things you can and can't send him. These companies have made phone apps to send your money to jail. These enterprises who make the packages you send your beloved, the same who offer to send your college student modified food products. You tell them all the ways to recreate crackers, ramen, and chips, to pretend it is sustenance when in fact it is currency. The first time you saw your son's college dorm, it struck you. The same companies build prison cells. Prisoners build the beds and desks in both to house your child, your man, perhaps yourself one day. Outside at the memorial, they are barbecuing tonight. You put chicken in the oven, can't light charcoal without your grill man. You tell yourself you must live. You tell yourself to write, wait his call, wait and wait, lose weight. Memorize the number that has replaced his name. Find his white dress shirt bought for the courtroom, limp in the dryer. Walk his letters to the mailbox. Tell yourself you are living, a brain connected to a body, a hand to put money in the machine, a heart commodified, a special message. Don't worry about us. We'll be fine. Thank you.
It's an interesting thing when you come up on a show and you look at the list on the front and it says 15 people are reading and you have a list with 7 people on it. Kind of got to retool a little bit, but we did awesome well. So I was going to not read anything, but instead I'm going to read one thing, and it's very short. But I'm also going to say this. Thank you, Natasha Dennerstein, who did not expect to read. Hey, you're here. And Also, that's kind of how you know you've described a community. When people show up who are also in the book, who weren't booked to read, and just showed up to listen, which is awesome. But what's also true about every anthology I've ever been involved in is that it's never actually complete. And you wind up in this moment where you're like, how did we not ask for, oh my God. There are two of those for me. One of them is Julia Vinograd.
Yes, I was going to mention her when we were.
That is sad. So I'm just going to say Julia Vinograd. And since everybody nodded, you know who that is. But my suggestion is you get one of her poems and you like print it off and stick it somewhere in the book.
Yes.
And the second person I'm going to mention is somebody we just lost, Mary Corta. Mary Corta should have also been in this book. And I take responsibility for that because I said that name and there was no flicker in Rich's eyes. But that's because of who she was. So I'm going to read my memorial poem for her. And then I'm going to very sweetly try to get Paul to come read the one that I chased him off of the stage from. But I'm going to have to approach that carefully because I was a little abrupt. Not in that moment realizing that he was not here when I said, because of the way things were, we had to cut it down to one. And so he wasn't actually overstepping. He'd been asked, and I blew it. You shook my hand so hard it hurt. The edges of you a wild gift. Linda asked if I'd known you, said you were gone. I knew you most as story, direct solutions, bedrock logic, kindness with no seat cushion. Bed down in good verse, poet. You've left us your words. It's more than we could have hoped for. No. I understand. I really blew that one. That was all me. Anyway, no, it was. So, we have a pile of books that we would like to sell.
5 books.
And we would like to sell them for 2 reasons. One of them is that it would be great if Rich didn't end up in debt over this book. Another one is that we get to keep the places in this town that we support. We only get to keep the places we support. This is dire. So, I'm not trying to guilt anybody. I'm just explaining. If you can. If you can't, I get it. I've been there. I raised 3 kids without child support. I get it. But if you can buy a book, buy this book.
Yes.
It's really good. Rich, do you have something else to say?
I do. Poets, if you feel comfortable, I would love to get a group shot when we're done. So if you feel comfortable, please come up to the stage area. And Andre, if you're still here, you could take the picture.
Is the person who kind of looks like my partner back there, Doug? I'm sorry, I'm looking from light into darkness. Can you be the one to take the photo, please? Thank you, Doug. And thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Poets, and thank you everyone for coming out. Poets, if you feel comfortable, come on up. Also, I think. Also an announcement. Richard Modiano just graciously offered. He said if there's someone here that doesn't have the money to buy a book but wants a book, he graciously said he would buy it for you. I didn't know you were forever. Yes, the mask.
I never changed.
Whatever.
Stefan's in the back.
Second. All right, you're on. Correct? All right. We'll see you later. I rejoice. We'll have a very pleasant, final day. I look forward. Okay, brother, sister. Hey there, young lady. Oh, I see. I wondered. I thought maybe that's all right. Oh, good, good. I understand. Now, so great. Thank you so much. I haven't gone that fast. I know. That's a whole lot. No, this guy came out like this. Thank you so much. Because it's still in orbit, right? Oh,
This guy's been around. This was my mentor before David was my mentor.
Visionary.
Oh, this is the connection? You have to realize David Meltzer was the I mean, not everybody loved him, and I got aced out because I'm like,
thank you, dear. It's a wonderful gift. I'm going to have to figure out how to pack all this, but I'll do it later. I'll just put it on top in the stage. Yeah, if you carry both of these, it would be really
Are we still doing the Seattle thing? Is that happening? Or
It's funny that you should mention that. I was talking to Eric, the publisher, about Seattle today. I just don't think I can. I like, when he told me he was going up, I said, really? Because that was the notion. And then Eric was like, I need to get $1,000 from you for books, because I basically purchased all the copies for poets. So, what am I thinking? I can't afford to go to see
The land that you bring to your reading, I really like. Believe me, I was a director of the art world for several years. I heard hundreds, if not thousands of people read.
Go get a taco.
With 5-star stars.